man. How we doing?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
Good, good. What'd you just come from?
Just literally running around all day, like appointments, phone calls, Zoom calls. It's been a busy day.
Yeah, it's been a minute since we talked. Like, what are you up to right now? Like, day to day.
Yeah. Well, so I'm finishing up my undergrad right now. I did go to college and I'm getting my degree in film. So I'm in my last semester. So mainly day to day, I work. I have like three jobs kind of. Mainly a lot of it's creative stuff. So I work a lot in the film industry. I work a lot in like lighting, so I usually have a grip or like a gaffer. I've also been doing a lot of camera operating and stuff like that. It was kind of a crazy year last year. But then I also go to school about three times a week. So I'm always on campus, and I'm also a photo minor. So I develop a lot in the dark room, and I've been shooting a lot on like film. And yeah, so daily basis is like wake up, go to work, go to school, work on my projects, and yeah, try to get through the semester, try to make it to my graduation.
Yeah.
Right now I have a thesis film I'm working on that I'm directing, and we're about like honestly less than like 2 weeks from our first shoot dates, which is March 9th. So I'm excited and nervous.
Yeah, so that I saw you were raising money for that film, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Got you. And that's for school. Well, for you, like,
yeah,
you got passion behind it, but ultimately it's for the assignment. Yeah, it's
yeah.
ish.
It's
Well, it's an excuse to get it out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, it's definitely one that film is definitely kind of a passion project. I've had that kind of idea since my freshman year of college, and it was something that I actually had discussed with my professor about like, how do I go about making this? And he was like, keep this idea, wait until your senior thesis. And I'm glad he did, because there's I think some just stories and some projects. It's like, as much as you want to create them and like really put them out there and show the world like your vision, it's better to wait, because I freshman year me to who I am now, completely different people. I mean, from when I first met you, I think I'm a completely different person. I'm not on my grind as much as like, some of our other friends are, and like have posted some of the work that they have. I definitely slowed down and kind of took a little bit of a different route, to focus more on kind of film and creating that stuff. But it's helped me a lot. I mean, I know so much about cameras now. I know so much about lights, and I know so much about stories and structure. And it's really made me, I think, a stronger filmmaker and a stronger creative. And it's excited. It's exciting, I should say. Because this really can hopefully be my big ticket into the industry and put my voice out there as a filmmaker.
Right, right. Yeah, so you put out, I don't know names off the top of my head, but I remember you had just the most beautiful, beautiful like cover art for your last film. I'm like awesome, and it got nominated for or into a film festival. Um,
Yeah.
and so how do you feel like you had to work up to this next one in order to get like? Do you think your professor was dead on right? Like, yeah, I should work up to this before I go at it.
I think to an extent, yeah. I think, I now have like the tools where it's like I could play around with anything. Like, we're shooting this on my school's really great. I will say like I go to a very small film school. It's not very known. I always tell my professor, I'm like, give it 5 to 10 years. Like my film school will probably be competing alongside like Chapman, but like, I mean,
Mhm.
we have, the Alexa Mini. We have like a whole bunch of reds. We have like all these crazy airy lights. Like we just have insane equipment for just a small program. And it's amazing because when you get to like this level of working at your like senior thesis, it's like all these tools are available for us to use. And so it makes it, so much easier to kind of produce a project at such a high level and at such a high capacity. And I mean, I feel really grateful because a lot of my friends from the industry are filling in on the positions that, my classmates aren't working in. And so it's like I have a mix of like my classmates and professional crew coming together and helping me make this project come to life. And I don't think if I would have I think if I would have done it like my freshman year or maybe my sophomore year of college, it definitely wouldn't have been what I wanted it to be. And I definitely with the what then story entails and everything, I needed a lot of growing. I needed a lot of life to learn, and um,
Right.
yeah. So hopefully, I could do good with it. For me, like when it comes to like at least making films, I still love making videos and like other stuff like that. But like filmmaking for me is like I don't make stories for myself. I make stories for other people, because hopefully I could be able to create something that starts a conversation or opens up a topic that's not really discussed in film.
Has that always been kind of your motive, or did you kind of have to morph into that? Like, hey, I have this skill now. Now let's put some meaning into it, rather than just taking like dope photos as you do. You know?
Yeah, no, honestly, that was kind of always my passion. I Photography was just something that kind of came by nature, in a sense. In high school, I decided to take a photography class. I was like, well, if I'm gonna, I knew I wanted to be a filmmaker when I was in high school. I know I wanted to work in the film industry. I was like, well, I should probably learn how to use a camera. And that was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. Because you'd be surprised a lot of film students don't know how to use a camera or don't know the basics.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when COVID happened, I just kind of was locked in my room, and would watch YouTube and figure out how to, better my photography, better understand a camera, better understand like editing tools. And it made me a lot stronger. And, I felt very confident going into film school, but I also learned a lot as well. I learned a lot on set, and I did learn a lot more about the operations of how film production works because of film school. You definitely don't need film school to work in the film industry.
Sure.
But it will like if I will tell people like if you don't know where to start, it's a great starting point because you could branch off and make connections that
Right.
I mean you wouldn't make unless you knew people and you were able to get your foot in the door. It's a very small industry too. Like that's another thing too. Is like so many people I work with, they're like, oh, you work with that? Like you go and follow someone on Instagram, it's like you have like 15 or 14 or like 50 mutuals, and it's like, oh, you know these people? Like I worked on that, and oh, I worked on that.
Yeah.
So
That's gotta be super nice.
yeah, it's cool because like you just kind of you get to meet everyone. Like
Yeah.
I guess I'll give him a shout out because his work is actually just insane. But like Neve, our friend, like he's doing very high level productions, and like some of my friends that I go to Chapman with are his DPs, and like he works with big people in the industry, and so and he's very young. I give a lot of props to him. He's hustling and he's doing really cool things. So for me, that's also inspiring. I still get inspired by like seeing what other people create, seeing music videos that come out, seeing movies and films and short films and even photo shoots. Man, I like really haven't done like crazy photo shoots in a long time. So when I'm able to, like, it gets me excited just because it's nice to just create something, other than, you know, people, taking portraits or, corporate work or whatnot.
Yeah, I've never been a part of a set because a little here in the Midwest, it's a little harder to get into that cool scene.
Yeah.
So, how did you make your way on the sets? Was it just through school, or how did you start?
Um, I will say I loosely kind of have a personal connection to someone who works in the film industry. My cousin, her dad, I'm like kind of related to be a stepfather, or her, yeah, her stepdad is like related to me. So, but her dad works in the film industry as a assistant camera or a first AC, and he's like in the union and stuff. He's very big, and like he's worked on a lot of big films, and so, she knew that was something I always wanted to do, and she was like, wait until you're 18, like, you're not really gonna be able to work like in production until you're of that age. Well, obviously, COVID happened when I turned 18. And right when COVID started clearing up, and the film industry came back and people were working on productions, she hit me up and she was like, "Hey, like, do you want to take this like production assistant job, low level PA, like bottom of the line?" And I was like, "Yes, like this is my gateway, like this is my key." Because she started working in the film industry, doing makeup, and when she wasn't doing makeup, she would take personal assistant jobs or production assistant jobs. And she wasn't able to take this job, and so she was like, "Do you want it?" And I was like, "Yes." So she kind of told me what to say. I made a really good impression on the production manager, and she really liked me. And it was the coolest thing. I got to go to like my first everything. Like I just had to like run errands all day. But it was like a commercial that was being shot on film, so I got to go to Kodak, pick up like 4 big reels of 35 motion picture film, and then take it to where they're doing the camera test. And I ironically didn't realize until like a couple weeks later that the guy that I handed the reels of film to was Robert Eumann, which some people may know, may not know who he is, but he's usually the cinematographer for all of Wes Anderson's films. And so, because a lot of big like people will do like big commercials and stuff. And so, I did that for like 3 times. I did that for like a handful of jobs. Like I did a couple of production assistants, and then my friend Danny, who I met at film school, was like, "Oh, you should like really work in lighting. Like, try to get yourself out of being like seen as a production assistant and be seen as like something else, because then, people won't see you that way." Which is a true thing. Like, you work so long in one position, it's hard to kind of navigate out of whatever that job is, and
Right.
let people see you for like, what you want to be. And so he was like, do lighting with me. And he got me a lighting job. And then I started working on lighting. And a lot of guys and a lot of people that I worked with thought it was really cool that I'm like this 5'2" little short girl carrying around these like big ass lights and, we're just doing all this stuff, keeping up with the guys. Because there's also, and at least in the like lighting space of the film industry, there's not a lot of women. There are, but there's not as much as like the camera department or like production and like producing. And so it was really cool. And I think that helped kind of expand, what I was doing and kind of put myself out there a little bit more, just because, I wasn't necessarily the norm. And then, yeah, ever since then, I've just kind of been working with like a lot of the same people that I've met, make connections that way, be nice to everyone. Like, so that's another thing too, is like, even if they're like being a total asshole to you, like just fake it till you make it, be nice, because 9 out of 10 times someone from that production will, see your work ethic and be like, oh, you know what, I want to work with that person again. And I could say that's true. Like I work with a lot of the same people, and because of it, they've referred me to other people, and it's just kind of been that cycle.
Yeah. Yeah. What was I gonna touch on? When you take a job for something like that, I'm guessing it's per project, not necessarily I work for a film company
Yeah,
and I'm always their PA or I'm always their lighting. It's like, hey, there's this project now, apply for this and you'll get in for this. Is that how that works?
kind of. It's yeah, you don't really work for a company. Um, you just kind of work with a lot of the same people you work with. So if like say the cinematographer or the director really likes you, like cinematographers will like hire usually like a lot of the same camera people, a lot of the same lighting people, because they're so used to working with them and they already know how the cinematographer works and how they like to light things. So it just makes it a lot easier. But like that's a thing in the film industry. It's like directors will work with the same cinematographers, and cinematographers will work with the same lighting crews, camera crews, and every now and then you'll see like another person that you haven't really worked with just to fill in that position. But yeah, a lot of it's just like if people like you, if they see like your work ethic and you hustle on set, like you could easily kind of become a part of that group. But then again, that's also makes it hard because like a lot of groups are very close knit, and people in the film industry are all a little egotistical. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, oh, like, I don't really want to add a new person to the group. So it can be a little hard to like really make connections and like, be like, hey, hire me for a job, or like, if you only worked with them one time. But yeah, it's it's not easy. I mean, there's unions and stuff, so that makes it a little easier. Like if you're in a union, you could get work a little bit more consistently that way, but it's never a guaranteed thing, which is also, concerning and frustrating, like being in a creative industry. Like I think too, like if doing photography and stuff, like you never know when your next gig is coming in. You never know when your next client's reaching out for you. And like the big thing is too, is you gotta put yourself out there as a creative. Like social media definitely has helped so much. Like because I've slowed down a lot on my social media and like doing photo shoots and stuff like that, I definitely haven't gotten as much photography work. A lot of it's from, the clients that I've worked with already before. A lot of people, family, friends, like, like being referred to. And that's a lot of what I do for at least photography. But yeah, it helps a lot to put yourself out there, I think, in just any sense. You can definitely bring more opportunities that way and also stay optimistic.
Right. Right. Yeah. From what I've heard and the people I've talked to, the film industry is a lot more hustle driven, passion driven, and you got to really want to be there because you're not going to be there at the perfect times in your day. Like you're going to be there at odd times and stuff. So I definitely
Yeah.
see where like that kind of ego comes from, because it's not all industries are passion driven like that, because you got to really want to be there usually.
Yeah, it's just a weird thing too. And then there's also a lot of money involved in the industry. So like That's also could be like, another weird thing. Also you'd be surprised, like a lot of people, people be in certain positions and it's like they don't really know what they're doing. So it's a
That's
weird
true.
thing. It's a weird thing. Like I said, you don't need film school to get into the film industry. You just kind of have to know the right people, and if they'll like you, they'll teach you, which is like kind of the great thing. Like, my professor is big on like how he's like, I'd rather work with a person who has no experience and has a good attitude than someone who's had 18 years of experience and has a shitty fucking attitude. Because you're stuck with that person for 12 hours on set, and if you're working on a big job that's like 3 months, then you're working 12-hour days nonstop with this like same shitty person that just has a shitty attitude. It's not fun. So, and luckily too, like I will say, like I really haven't encountered that. I've encountered like a couple people that have been like, "Oh, you're not the nicest," but I'll still be nice to them, and it's like the likelihood of me working with you very small, but if I do, at least I was always nice to you, and I wasn't being a jerk. So
Yeah, and it's funny how much just attitude and even just confidence somewhere. Like either being confident in that you know or being super confident that you don't know and you communicate that.
yeah,
Like it makes everything. You can get into anything doing that.
yeah,
Uh, talk,
confidence is
oh,
key.
yeah. I want to hear about the resources you get to your university. Do you have to pay for the dark room?
So technically, like, there's a small, like, little fee that gets applied to my tuition. It's like $100, but all of the like chemicals and like my school provides our film as well. We only develop black and white, so which is kind of crappy because like developing color would be a lot cooler, but developing in color is a very tedious process. Because like your chemicals have to be at an exact temperature. Like there's a couple extra steps than developing black and white, but it's great. Like I never have to pay for black and white film. I'll have to pay for the chemicals. I've got to do like I print my own film rolls, and then I also get to do like prints. Actually, sorry, I'm like staring at all the prints on my wall, but it's really cool. Like just like learning that process and understanding like the film and like cells and like how the chemicals develop, like how film is even made. Like it's just such like a trippy thing. It's really cool too. Like once you kind of get your hands on it, like it's actually made me really kind of hate digital. Like I really don't shoot digital unless it's for like client work, and even client work, like I put it out there, like you could hire me to shoot film and I'll shoot film. And now I also have like a bad addiction of buying film cameras, so that hasn't been good for my bank account either.
Yeah, you have quite a few.
Yeah, I have a lot. I think I have like four like medium format cameras, and then
Damn.
and I have like I don't know, maybe 10 35 millimeter cameras, and I have all different kinds. Like I have point and shoots, I have like the SL1s, I have like you know just I don't know, I just have a crap ton of cameras.
Yeah, I probably have like 10 total. I just bought my first RB67, so I'm excited to shoot that. I
Oh
know
my
you have
god,
the
yeah,
RZ,
yeah.
so I'm excited to shoot medium format, but say goodbye to what is it, like $6 every time you press the shutter sound.
Yeah, no, I think honestly too, like I will say like invest in a scanner, like because if you could just pay to get your stuff developed, it's way cheaper. It is, I will say, like I've heard from people that work in like the like photo labs and like work for like in the darkroom and stuff, like they say it's like kind of always better to let your film lab just scan your stuff because they have like really good scanners. Um
Yeah.
but like I got a scanner, like I got a scanner for $100. That's another thing. Buy things used. People don't buy that things used. But I got like a used scanner, Epson scanner, and they don't make that one anymore. And I got it for like $100. And I think I was like, I looked it up on like eBay just to see like if it was a good price or not. And they were going for like $500. So like I saved myself with $400. It's in great condition. I've never had any issues with it. And like I could scan my 35 and I could scan 120. I actually had like 120 like images right here. This is stuff I shot on black and white. But it's honestly so much fun. Shooting on like shooting on 120 is just crazy because like it's even though like the square is like this much bigger than 35, it's just like the like image quality that you get from it's crazy. I also like I've shot on sheet film too, like I've shot on the 4x film, like on the old accordion cameras. That's crazy.
Wow.
Like see how
Is
much
that
like
the, is that like large format then? Is that
yeah,
what that is?
yeah,
Okay, gotcha.
yeah.
How was that process?
It makes you appreciate like just cameras like so much more. Like it just has it like makes you have like such a deeper appreciation for photography as a whole. Just because you literally have to like, there's so many little steps before you even take one image. And it's like you have to make every shirt, like everything's like perfectly right. Like you put like, so like the glass, everything's inverse. So if everything's like flipped and then flipped this way. So then you gotta look at like your image is like upside down and then like flip the other way. And so you're like, okay, what am I looking at? And then you have to put like a little kind of eyepiece where you like it like zooms in and then you have to focus your knobs and everything. You could like adjust like 10 different ways. Like you could adjust like your tilt. So if like say like you're shooting something and like the horizontal like your like skyline or your like something horizontal vertical was like kind of like off centered, it wasn't going linear, like you could tilt it to like make it look linear. So like there's so many little things you could do, and then you have to take your light meter and read what you're getting. And yeah, so you it's a lot of finessing, and then even too like putting the film in like the film slides, that's also another
You gotta
process.
slide your film in, yeah. You
Yeah.
gotta make sure to do that, or else you're not getting yourself a photo there.
Yeah, and like everything, all that stuff too, you have to do in the dark. Like you do all that stuff in the
Yeah,
dark room, and so
yeah. You got the
um,
cover on too, huh?
yeah, literally, you put the cover on and then you look at your image. It's so tedious, but like it's also so rewarding when you see your images. Like um I will say like I did get I just get kind of like, so the camera I was using when I first like shot, like I'd probably say like my first like four sheet pieces of sheet film, the bellows on it was like cracked because they dry out over time. They get old, and so all my images the first ones I took had like light leaks in them. And this location that we went to, it was the first image I took, and I was so excited for this image because it just looked so freaking cool. It was like this beautiful tree that was arching over it, like the sun was just shining through it perfectly. And parked right there was like a moped just sitting by itself. There's no other people around. So I set up this film, like this photo, and I took the image. I was so happy and I was so excited. And then I developed it, and it just turned out. I was so sad.
Yeah,
Um,
it's part
but yeah,
part of the process, I guess.
yeah. But yeah, no, it just yeah, it's I think too, like just like I said, understanding film photography and like learning more about it and shooting on film, it just makes you appreciate everything so much more. Like I can always say, like you can't really take a bad photo on film. Like there's just something about it. It feels better, and um yeah, it makes you appreciate things so much better.
Yeah, and obviously everyone says like it makes you shoot a little slower, which is like the main thing I hear, which is
Yeah,
great. I even think a little deeper, it makes you a little more little more light conscious a little bit
yeah,
too. You got to worry about exposure a little more. You even worry about how the light is affecting your frame, and that has not only made just I shoot mostly digital still, but it's
yeah,
made my digital photos better, but also just like as I'm not filmmaking, but getting into
yeah,
caring about how my compositions look on video a little more. It's
yeah,
like, all right, let's think about light here rather than being a doofus and doing something stupid. So
yeah.
I've enjoyed the film process as well.
Yeah, it's cool though because like, the same kind of the same idea of like taking like digital. I will say like, I mean, anything that you could do with a film camera, you can kind of almost do with a digital camera. But like, say you shot like a roll of film and it was like a 400 ISO, and you're like, you know what? I don't know if these photos were exposed wide enough. Like, I probably should overexpose them. You could you could overexpose them when you develop them. So instead of developing it at like a 400 ISO, you develop it at 800 ISO. So like you could do a lot of different things to your images. And like even if you're like hand developing prints in the darkroom, like you add your contrast. So like you adjust your own highlights and your darks and stuff, and you take these little filters and like you adjust the time. Like it's so tedious, but it like you said, it does slow you down. It makes you appreciate it just like a little bit more. And so like it does roll into your digital photography because like you'll kind of look at something, it's like, oh, like, maybe I should adjust here or I should adjust there. But yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I think as you were talking about your scanner, I feel like I had a similar one in the pipeline on Facebook Marketplace that I saw, and I'm like, I should probably get this, but it was like 30 minutes down the road. I was too lazy, which is a lot in Iowa. All right,
Yeah.
that's a it's a big old drive. It feels like an eternity, but I didn't end up picking it up. But I'm guessing when you talked about overexposing, you got your computer and then you got your scanner plugged in, right? And then you got your settings on your computer, right?
Yeah, so you could also too when you scan your film, you could also adjust it. Like scanning is kind of like its own like little photo software.
Yeah,
It's kind of own
it
little
is.
Lightroom. So
It
there's like
is.
when it comes to film, there's so many ways. Like I think scanning it and like printing it in the darkroom, you can make two entirely different images. But yeah, it makes you appreciate it. Also, like save your negatives. You never like these are permanent. Like you could hold these in your hand, like they'll never go anywhere. Like where if like a hard drive gets dropped, you could lose all your photos. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's cool. I definitely invest in a scanner. I think like learning like doing everything yourself is like so much fun. Like I just shot a wedding actually this weekend, and my client paid for some of it to be shot on film. So I have a whole bunch of films to get I need to get developed, and I'm actually gonna scan them myself, just because I was like, you know what, I want to like really like make sure that I'm giving like my client like the best quality possible. Not that I don't trust my photo lab because they do an amazing job. They do all my stuff. But I was like, you know what, let me just do it. Like I just like I felt like scanning my own film, so I'm excited. I'm hoping they all turned out. I pray that they did. But um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's also too the other
Yeah.
thing is like you like yeah you learn so much. Um, yeah,
Yeah. Have you taken the dive into film photography YouTube?
yeah. Yeah. I mean, mainly that's honestly all I shoot now. Like especially like a lot of personal stuff. I shoot everything on my film cameras. Like I just take them everywhere. Um, Film like with a video and stuff. I'm still trying to dip my toes into. I have a Super 8 camera, but honestly, I'm not 100% sure
Yeah.
if it works, which is so
Yeah.
shitty because I want it to work so bad. But
Right.
I've also thought about maybe splurging and buying like a Super 16, like a 16 millimeter like camera. But we'll see. We'll
Of
see.
course, that's a thing. I haven't even heard Super 16 before. Let me see what one of those look like. Oh yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, we like that. I was asking if you've seen some of the creators on YouTube that make content about film.
Yeah. I actually have. I think his name Willem is Veerbeck. Veerbeck.
Yeah,
I
yeah, that's
watch
the
people
that's the
that.
main guy I watch. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's an interesting one.
I have one of his photo books actually. I have
Really?
Yeah, it's right here. I'm actually looking at it. I love his stuff. I love that he just like goes around and he just like I just see something, I take an image. Like I was actually it's so funny that you brought it up. I just saw one of his videos the other day. Because I first off just because I've been so busy, I don't watch TV and I don't get to see movies or I don't really go on YouTube. Like I don't consume like long form content anymore. Like I'll see like TikTok
Yeah,
and stuff more just because I have more time for
yeah,
that than to really sit down and watch a video. But I was like, you know what? I want to watch some YouTube. So I actually put on one of his videos because it was like suggested. And it's just like, it was so nice to just see someone like take the time to set up like his camera and like meter and like make the perfect like photo and like just seeing like the little tricks he does. Like, and then too, like watching YouTube is such a good source. Like there's a lot of misinformation, but there's a lot of good information on YouTube. Like I taught
yeah,
photography and like learning anything new that I've done in like the past like couple years, especially when my photography started getting a lot better, was because of YouTube. I would just spend hours and I would just try things. I would take photos, try editing, and be like, oh, I like that, but I didn't like that. So maybe I'll use this, but I'll try something else for that. And so yeah, it's a great resource. I don't think I really watch any other film photographers on YouTube if I'm being completely honest. His stuff is
yeah,
mainly like stuff that I come across.
yeah. And he's one of the bigger ones, and he's great. He's all you need. I was thinking of when you were talking about your scanner. There's a channel called Linus and His Camera, and he does more like he's a film photographer. He's super good. He's worked for Cinestill. He did like Cinestill's YouTube videos for a while or whatever. And he's more about the process heavy. So he copped one of those huge Kodak film scanners where it's like a built-in
Oh
computer too.
yeah.
And so I watched him do that thing and I saw the editing process on there and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's crazy. That's how you guys get yours looking so good every time.
Yeah, like that's honestly scanners too. Like quality wise, like these little Epson flatbed scanners, they're pretty good. But like, I guess like those scanners, I heard there's a thing called liquid scanners, and that's like what they would use for like when you'd take your old film down to Costco. When Costco used to develop film, but they used to like they'll put like they'll put them through, and I guess those liquid scanners are so much better than like flatbed scanners. Like you just get better quality out of it. Because like essentially, I was telling my friend like scanning is like just another version of taking a photo. Like that's crazy too. I think like just like looking at photography as a whole, like there's so many different means to like photography. Like I really got into a process called cyanotype, which is a developing process. So like UV light and just like a natural chemical that was like found on the earth. It was something that they were doing back in like the 1800s when like they were trying to invent photography. And that's really cool. Like printing, like you print out kind of transparencies of your images and like, or you don't even have to do that. Like you could like literally just like you take this chemical, you could put on any piece of like you could put on a piece of wood or like you could put on a piece of metal, anything that like would absorb the chemical, let it dry. And then you put it on like sunlight or under like a UV light, and then it just exposes. And to stop the developing process, you just put it in water, and anything that was like covered will be white, and anything that wasn't will turn like blue. It's really cool. Cyanotypes are like really,
You
really
played with
cool.
this?
Yeah, yeah. I gotta like, and it's cool. You could buy the kit yourself. Like they sell them on Amazon. You just like you literally mix the like the powders with like water, let them sit overnight, and then you just paint. You take a paintbrush and you paint on like a piece of paper or whatnot. I'm trying to think. I don't have any like next to me. All my stuff's like tucked in my
Yeah.
like archive
My
shelf.
question with
But
that is how do you actually like expose it to what you want? Like
so that's
how does that work?
so that's another thing too. Is like it's kind of a time thing for that one. So like if the UV is really high outside, like you could leave it outside for 5 minutes and it'll expose. If the UV is really low, you might have to leave it out there for an hour, like 3 hours. So like it's a crazy process. I think like I did some outside when like it was like near the summertime and like it was like 100 degrees in California. And I think it only took me like 10 minutes to like develop some of my stuff because I was printing on like fabric cotton squares. And then I made my own like little light box with UV lights, and I like literally just took a cardboard box, paints it white inside so it bounces all the light, and I just bought some UV lights from Amazon, strung them to the top, and then I would have it sit on top of like the fabric, and then I had like the images that I was trying to print on the fabric. And I think I would just let it sit for like an hour, 45 minutes. I would take them out, put them under the water. And then the cool thing too, like say like your image like didn't look like it like really came out. If you dump hydrogen peroxide on it, it'll immediately get darker. Like,
Wow.
yeah. And it's crazy. Like this was
Wild, dude.
yeah, cyanotypes are really cool. Actually, I recommend like look into them. They're a really cool thing. It's considered like an alternative process of photography, but like you get to create images. Like there's some really cool cyanotype artists out there, and it's just like I've seen people do like mixed media and stuff with it, where they do like different types of like they'll do wood, and then they'll also do like pieces of paper and fabric, and then like create one giant like cumulative like photo or like artwork. And it's cool.
Freaking wild. So yeah, you've dove into any extra thing possible when it comes to film. Holy moly. People
Yeah.
people be shooting on their 35 millimeter and they're like, I'm a film photographer. And I'm like, yeah, there's a lot out there, dude. I mean, good for you though.
Yeah, I mean, it's just cool. Like, it makes you like. That's why I think like too. I've taken a big step back from like digital. I love my Sony camera, right? Sony's goated. I love shooting digital because like, it is a lot more like easier and like accessible. But like when you get to play around and do fun other things and like, mess around and see how things are, it's like, oh damn, like why would I want to go back? Like why. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but what have you been doing? Like, what have you been up to? Like, how are things going with
Yeah.
you?
Remind me, first of all, I was gonna address you by your name. Is it Amanda or is it that's my very normal version of pronouncing it, or is it pronounced a little differently?
No, it is Amanda. My
Okay.
Instagram handle is Mandy, which is like my nickname. And it's funny because like a lot of people, like some of my clients, they just know me from like my Instagram handle, so they'll just call me
Yeah.
Mandy. But it's either way. I respond to both. Legally, it's Amanda.
All right, cool. Sounds good. Yeah, believe it or not, I have been self-employed for the last year and a half, and I've been working with a handful of businesses and running their digital media platforms,
Yeah,
and that's how I've been making the bulk of my income and live and thrive. And then on the side, I make too much content for myself, and it goes out a lot. So probably see that if you're on your
yeah,
phone, but that's what I've been up to. I think you definitely are a creative. I'm like a creative. I definitely am. But when I picked up a camera, it was the first way I was able to channel my ambition through something. I've always had an ambition to grow, like more of like a business going. So It's been cool learning that, and it's all creative related still, but that's been my main thing. So that's what I've been up to. It's been a
No,
good
and
time.
you know what? That's amazing. I respect that so much. I think that's something that like I need to get better at is like, at least in the creative aspect, is knowing how to market myself and market my creative abilities and skills. Because there's some people, yeah, that like are, out there creating content. Maybe it's not as good as like one person. Like, if we're putting two people up, maybe one's creating a little bit better content and one's creating a little bit lower content. And it's like, when you look at like the work that they're creating, it's like, why is this person getting all these clients and like this person's not? And it could be just because how you market yourself. Like, I'm like, sometimes
Yeah,
I'm like, I feel like maybe I could have, because I'm obviously shot like, some influencers out here in LA, and, I've got to work
yeah,
with some cool people, and, like, right, that should have technically like maybe skyrocketed my career a little bit more. But like, I don't post more than, the average person does. Like, that whole like posting like on social media every day, like that's a real thing. Like, it's like
yeah,
you could really, grow yourself. And I have such a immediate respect for that, because I know for me, like, especially with me graduating and in May, it's like I know that like I got to start focusing on really how to be self-employed and be an entrepreneur and expand my horizons more than what I'm already doing right now. And that's not easy.
that was one of my first big challenges. Is like, man, some of this business stuff sucks, but it comes with it, man.
Yeah.
It comes with it. So I mean, I've been spotty with content, but like beginning of this year when I put out my kind of revamped website, I'm like,
Mhm.
all right, I'm all in forever. I'm not stopping. It's just what I'm doing. Newsletter, bam, I can do that. I
Yeah.
don't care if it gets no views. I want people to see that I do it every week.
Yeah.
Podcast, I can do that. I know people.
Yeah.
Uh, YouTube videos, I think I can do that. I don't know if I can actually do that, but I'll see how long I go with that.
Yeah.
And so just putting that out, and I'm gonna be that kid. This is a joke. I have self-respect for myself, but I'll be that kid that has the marketing efforts that gets opportunities that should be handed to people with more skill sets, But that's just the benefit you reap when you take the time.
Yeah. And like I said, I have so much respect for that, because like I was just looking at my website, and I haven't touched that baby in like 2 years, like maybe even three.
Yeah.
I like it takes a lot of time. Like, it takes a lot of work. Like, I think to an extent, like a lot of people's like creating content's easy, like doing this and this, but it's like to an extent it's not. Like, there's also like a lot of like other like little things you have to do, and you got to manage, and make sure you kind of keep your portfolio up, and also keep your like your numbers in your books, and you got to invoice people, and like there's just a whole bunch of like other little stuff in between. It's hard, but like people that stay on top of that, and really know how to market themselves in a good way. Like, I have so much respect for you. Like, that's amazing.
I appreciate that, and as an encourager, not uh whatever. I'll just keep talking. Uh, it's like everything. It's like once you learn one thing, you can build on to the next. So, dude, updating your website's so annoying, especially when it's yours.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's always hard. So that never
Yeah.
gets easier. But just like the systems, like it's easier for me now to do the amount that I'm doing rather than doing something once a week a year ago. Just because I built it up, which I mean, you know the same thing with all that you do. Like,
Yeah.
put me on a film set, I you're gonna have some bright lights where there's not supposed to be bright lights and everywhere. It's just it's a hard world, and it all takes you gotta and with content too, calendars,
Websites are
scheduling.
terrible. Websites are
Scheduling is the
terrible.
terrible.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
scheduling is so bad. I
Yeah.
don't know if you felt this, but like, I don't know, since I've started college, or at least like definitely in the past 4 years, I felt like my brain has turned into mush. I have to put things down on my calendar, or like I'll forget, and I'll double book myself. And like, just because my week changes by week. My day will change the day of. Like,
Yeah.
so like it's terrible. Like, that hasn't been fun, but again, if you're able to keep yourself on top of it, I bought a planner. I don't even use it. I just use my phone. Like I'm like I realistically because I'm like yeah, I tell myself if I write it down like physically, I'll probably have a better chance of remembering it. But then I won't bring my planner because I'm like I don't like carrying a lot of stuff with me. And I'm like, and then it just sits there and like doesn't get used. And I'm like, well, that was the point of buying that planner.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, staying on top of your stuff is hard. Like yeah, and like same with the website. Websites are suck, like or so shitty. Like it. I remember when I was like doing my website, it would take me like an hour to just upload like a set of photos. Uploading like content and like your the previews to your work was like such a pain, such a pain.
Yeah. And creatives will go, or at least I did. I don't want to speak for anyone else, but I tried to go overboard. When I was a creative, I wanted to try to make too much on my website. Literally, what you have is all you need. Obviously, you need to update your projects because I know you've done. They were great, but I know you've done dope stuff since then.
Yeah.
But like creative portfolios is so nice when I just see like your name, and then I see like your work, and then like there's a way to contact you. Like that's all you need.
Yeah.
Now, when you jump into the crap show, the marketing world, like I'm trying to do, man, the websites turn not so fun. But you love it. I mean, you jump in because you love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's also too there's like better website software. That's like something that I'm probably definitely going to be working on more like at the end of this year is kind of putting together like my content and like creating like a director's reel, putting out my showcasing my more important like photo projects I'm more proud of. I will say like everything I've ever shot, like I definitely love to an extent, but like there's just some things like man, I really love this, like and I don't know if you feel the same way, but sometimes like I create the best content when I'm not trying. Like some of my best work is like when I really was just like there, like I was just doing it because I enjoyed it. Because sometimes like too, I don't know if you feel this, like especially like that you're, mainly just creating stuff for like other businesses. But like there was a period of time where I was getting hired by like so many different clients that like I was just shooting, I was, going home, uploading it, editing it, sending it to them. Like it didn't really like bring me a lot of joy. Like, and then I felt like too, like it kind of translated on some of my work. Like I was like, like this doesn't look as good as what I just posted. And, so it got to a point, and I think a lot of this too, I've been reflecting about this a lot recently, but I think it was definitely too, like, I just got busy in life. And like, when, you're so busy and then it's like, you have like one other thing to do because then you're committed to doing this, it just starts to feel more like a chore rather than like something that you enjoy doing. And it just becomes overwhelming. I don't know if you feel that way, but that's
Yeah. Oh, I get what you're saying. I kind of dodged the bullet. I am able to do kind of like the brain dead, just upload my stuff process, just because it's more like corporate type stuff. Like, hey, make sure your shots aren't crap. Make sure the colors look great.
yeah,
Make sure the audio quality is good. Make sure that they are looking at the camera. Like, but when you do like creative work, like I'm gonna make an ad for this sick shoe. Like, if you do that over and over and over again, I could totally see why it just becomes a chore. And when I do work like that, I do not enjoy it. I do that for me when I want to make random stuff. My random LA video that I put out yesterday, I love doing that. It was one of those things where I just start working without even trying. I made that thing in like 3 days. I mean, I had to spend quite a bit of my 3 days on it, but it was a great time. So I save the real creativity stuff for non-paid stuff.
Yeah.
Just because of that feeling you get. Now, if you're working collaboratively on a set like what you're doing, I can see how that wouldn't feel like a chore. I see like I could really, or even if it does, that's okay because you're part of a team. But when you're like a solo freelancer in charge and you have to have every single aspect down, if that feels like a chore, that's gonna be a drag because creativity is so much brain, man.
Yeah, and I think too, like working, like doing film stuff now, one, like I feel like I had to relearn how to create a little bit. Like filmmaking, one is 100% a collaborative process. Like you cannot make a movie without like these key people involved. Like there's so obviously many variables that goes into making a production and making a film. But with that being said, I think it's also one, I was so used to being like independent and like doing my own videos and like, taking photos and like doing all this stuff that it took me a while to like learn how to like work with other moving people. Like, even if they don't work the same as I do, it's like you have to learn how to like work with each other. So that was a benefit, right? Like learning how to be more collaborative. But now it's like I work and it's like, oh, I'm like I feel like I can't work without other people. Like it's sometimes hard, and I'm like sometimes I just want to do something by myself, but like I know if like I can make it so much better if I have like this person, or like if I have that person, or if I just had like a couple extra hands. And
That
so
means
like
you've grown. That's a good
yeah,
thing.
yeah. Um yeah. So it's hard. It's weird. But yeah, I think for me, like in like Ruth said, kind of like in regards to like that whole everything feeling like a chore, I think a lot of it was just like, just making work for other people sometimes just it can feel exhausting. Especially too if like I think definitely you have to put yourself in your work a little bit. Whether that's like you create a creative direction for your photo shoot, or you come up with the concept for the music, like, for a video you're doing, whatnot. I just shot a music video, loved the way it turned out. It looks really cool. It was a very simple concept, but I started editing it. And I literally directed it and I DP'd it, and then I was decided to edit it just because it was like very simple concept. I was like, oh, this won't be hard to edit. And then I got to like maybe the fifth like cut of it, and I was just like, I need help. I need someone else's help. Like I need an editor. Like I need someone to help me, because like I just had so many things going on where I was like, I need someone else's help. And so, sometimes you just gotta take the pride. And like I know there's probably stronger at like video editors than me. Like I also too feel like now like video editing has become a chore for me. Like I really have to be in the mood to sit down and edit a video. Like if I post a video, it's like that's usually probably that I probably sat on that like footage for like 4 months before I decided to edit it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, and the amount of projects I got flowing through, yeah, editing's starting to feel like a chore. It'll be the first thing I outsource. It's more of like a business transaction for me though. Like, hey, I need you here every week doing the same project, rather than like, hey, I have this random thing. I need some dope colors, or like, can you help me color this, or can you help me throw in this effect that I don't know. But I am envious that you're able to be like, yeah, I directed, I, DP'd or whatever. I have to like, because I really like when you guys put it in your descriptions, like, oh my gosh, I directed, this person did the color, this person edited. I have to go and think about it. I'm like, all right, I definitely directed it, but like, how can I add a few more positions to make my description look cooler? Because I don't know the definitions all the way through. So I'm excited to learn that, because that's so cool that you can't think for yourself. You're thinking about teams now. Like I only can micromanage and do everything. I don't know how to bring on a team. So that's one thing about that film school stuff that'd be nice, is they just sit down and tell you what the heck happens, and then they they don't hand out opportunities, but you're probably going to be more likely to be on a set, when you're going through school, or you have a cool cousin or whatever.
Yeah. I think too there's like some it's like I said, it takes up a lot of learning, because I think I was in the same like aspect as you. Like I kind of was definitely a micromanager. It's because it's like, oh, I already know how to do this, so I could just do it myself rather than letting someone do it, where it's like that position. Also too, learning, a lot of people might not know this. Directors aren't the people that are behind the camera. Like directors mainly work with actors, and like cinematographers are the people that work with cameras, and they're the ones who like are responsible for lighting. Cinematographers are slightly cooler than directors. And it's like I mainly want to actually, my goal right now is after I get out of college, is like I'm mainly trying to become a cinematographer, just because there's more opportunities like going into that space as a cinematographer rather than as a director. You have to sell yourself a lot more, or come up with really cool concepts and stuff. But I feel like I could get myself in a position where I could grow so much exponentially as a cinematographer that like I could direct my own projects. Like I could take my own personal money and fund my projects, and make something cool for fun. Um, because also too, I also realized I don't like directing other people's scripts. I directed like I've directed a couple of things for other people, and like it's not that it's not necessarily fun. It's like it's hard trying to bring together someone else's vision when you weren't the one who like initially visioned it. And I think that's because I work in such a like aspect of like I like to see imagery in my head. So like when I'm writing scripts, like I see specific images and I'm like, oh, like I want that. But then it becomes hard to like translate that into a script. And then it's like, what do you mean by this? Oh, maybe you should say it like this. Like, oh, you put like way too much words in there. So yeah, working with the team is really cool. Like my short film that we're shooting like 2 weeks. Oh my god, sorry, I can't think straight right now. Like it's cool. Like I have like a crew of 25 people, and knowing that like yeah, like knowing that like 25 people are probably going to be like helping me make this film, like it feels really cool. Like it's nerve wracking also being in the position of like the director, like the cinematographer, because it's like you're responsible for like navigating these people and telling them like, oh, this is how this needs to be shot, or like we need to light it like this, and telling your actors like this is the motion that you should be giving, like et cetera, et cetera. Like it's nerve wracking. It's because it's like you don't want to look like an idiot, and you want to go in there with confidence, like you know what the hell you're doing. And yeah, I feel like I've learned a lot. I've come across like really amazing people, just working in the film industry, and then, going to school, and just also meeting other creatives that are my age. Like, I have a good friend, I'll shout him out, Patrick. He wants to direct, and, he's helped me a lot with in regards to my script and like ideas of directing. And he's put me onto like a lot of like tools and resources, and, just connecting with other people. Like you can expend your knowledge so much more. And it's like, this is great. It feels good.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, I'd like that, man. That'd be fun to be around.
Come through March 9th through the 11th. Make your way down to California.
I will I will not be there on March 11th, but let's talk here. When I stay in California, which is at least once a year, I'll be back there in July. I stay in Orange. I stay right by Chapman. I know I'm close to you. I know I'm within
Yeah,
45 minutes of you.
yeah, you're actually probably like, depending on traffic, 45 minutes. But like,
Well, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, add half an hour probably. Add a
Yeah,
half
no,
hour.
actually without traffic, you're like 20 minutes, like 20 to 25 minutes, depending on like
And
part of Orange.
I am as far east. I'm as close. I'm not even in town. I'm that far east. So I'm right next to you. So
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, you probably are. Like you're probably just over the mountain, just through the 91
yeah,
freeway. No, and the
right.
terrible traffic it has during the hours of 9 to like 3 p.m. A little
Yeah.
gap in between where there's no traffic.
Yeah. So I will definitely mention your name next to on there because I love me meeting some fun people, you know.
Yeah, that's it's crazy. Is like, um, I think the only person that I've gotten really close to meeting out of like are the people that we know is Robbie. He was in LA when he was touring with the artist, and I was supposed to go get dinner with him. And then something happened with the artist that he was touring with, and they ended up flying like that morning back to like Nashville. But like,
Mm.
there's so many other like lots of our friends out here. I'm like, I've never like really met. Like, I'm like, but you guys are so close to me. Like, I went to Austin, and Nathan hit me up. He's like, "You're in Austin," and I was like, "Yeah." And that was when I went out there for the film festival. But I didn't really have a chance to meet anyone. But like, I love knowing that. Like, I just love seeing you guys. Like, I love seeing the work you guys create. I being a part of that like little group chat that we had for that. No, we're still pretty active, but like just being a part of that community for like the time that we really had it, where we were just supporting each other and hyping up each other's work. Like, it just makes you feel so good. Like, it was so inspiring. Like,
Mhm.
uh, like yeah.
It
So
was it was prime it was prime COVID too. We didn't have any hopes up for ourselves. We had to make hope through each other a little bit there. Yeah, it's definitely changed the dynamic, but I can't even complain. Now it's like, hey, I need this job done if you're in this area. Like
Yeah,
that we love stuff like that too, man.
yeah,
We'll do that. So,
yeah. I think too. Also, like just seeing how everyone's grown. Like just seeing like where people are at, like in their careers and in their content.
yeah.
Like Jack. Like he oh my god, was it what festival was it? Was it Rolling Loud last year he shot? Like that was super sick.
Yeah.
I think it was Rolling Loud, I want to say. I don't know, but just seeing like all the content that like a lot of those guys have created, and like the people that they worked with. Nathan's also another one. Like he's got to shoot the weekends. He's got to shoot like Yachty and Omar Apollo, and
Yeah.
or like like I said, Neve. He's doing like sick ass fucking music videos, directing, and like having whole crews, like doing high productions. Like it's super sick just to see like, and everyone's so young. Like that's the amazing thing too. Like I do believe like, yeah, if you start really young, like you could probably get yourself like exponentially further, just because like when you're young, like I definitely like wish I would have like realized sooner. Like you have the time to do whatever you want. Like you really do. Like you have the time to, explore, try things out and like do things. And then, when you start college and, you get out of high school, like life does hit you a little bit harder and it does, get harder to, sit and just like read a book. That's one thing like I keep telling people that I'm like really excited to graduate. It's like I'm excited to start teaching myself stuff again. Like I'm excited to start like reading, start watching YouTube videos, start just going out and shooting for fun just because I have the time in the day to now. So, I'll say like just go out and create, like, do things, like take time, read a book. Like I try to always encourage that stuff.
And the thing about it is, I mean, we both know we're young, but sometimes since we're only this age, we feel old too. So like we're still like we're chilling. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you can start at like 12 years old, 10 years old, that always helps. Maybe earlier, why not? But
Yeah.
one thing
I
about
have my
me, if I, yeah, go ahead.
go no, you go first, you go first.
One thing about Neve, I don't think this is out of pocket, but like a few years back when he was like in high school, maybe below high school, I remember he texted the chat like, guys, I'm bogged down. I'm legit getting bullied at school for my videos.
Yeah.
And like, and then he's like, nah, screw those guys. Let me be a baller.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
still young. And it should hit him like that. He was young. I mean, stuff like that's gonna hit. But like, man, and just seeing him grow and like push through that, and now working with doing a bunch of effects. I don't even know what's happening. It looks so good. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's
No, it's crazy. He really is like working on like big stuff. Like he works with some like very professional people that I know in the industry. And some really amazing, talented creatives. Like, trust me, I really wouldn't be surprised. And like, given a year or two, this dude's probably going to be directing some like way bigger artists. Like, and he's very talented. Like, and I respect him so much because he's really big on editing and like his editing shows. I just wish I could sit down and edit like that. Like, that's also another thing too, is like I've been thinking about a lot. Like some people really do have it right away and like things just do come naturally. And then, for some people you do have to work a little bit harder for it. But, I think there's kind of a respect for both because you could get yourself to that level and, and you could even surpass it as well. Sometimes it's easy to just get stuck in your habits and just doing the same old thing. But if you, have the kind of mindset to grow and learn more, then you could do so much more.
Oh yeah, man. I feel like I'm to the point where I feel like I can't learn things, but one thing I've been loving looking into is like Blender type editing stuff, like making your own oases, bro, and then like flowing your camera through them.
Yeah.
So sick to me. I'll have to I'll link you the guys that do like Lyrical Lemonade, like visual effects, and you'll be wowed. Like that's like that makes me wow like a little kid, like when I first picked up a camera. Like I have that same feeling. So like I feel like it's not good for my progress to sit down and learn that right now. But if I ever have some extra time, I got that same feeling of like
Dude,
I'm gonna look into that.
that stuff's crazy. I don't speak on this too long, but I lived in Taiwan for like a month last year. And I got to study like virtual film production out there. And so I got to work with like the volume. Like, I'm not sure if you do watch The Mandalorian or like there's most things are use the like volume now. Like like Thor Ragnarok, they shot that on the volume, but like those giant LED production walls. But all that, like basically what they project on there is like Unreal Engine, like software and like those virtual worlds. And like that's things crazy. It's like you literally can like if you don't want a tree there, you could get rid of it, or you could add 10 trees there. Like you could immediately like change like the image that you show. It is definitely like the aspect of filmmaking. There's a lot that I think you have to like do to tweak to really make it like look believable, because now I watch things, I'm like, oh, they shot that on virtual LED wall. Like it kind of ruined my entire perception of like filmmaking and like virtual film production. But yeah, dude, honestly, like VFX stuff, like I give so much props to that. And still so many things are done. Like VFX is such a huge part of the film industry. Like even if it doesn't look like there's direct VFX and not like film, there probably is.
There is, and I had to look into it, but man, when I see those highlights, I'm like, that's it. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, what's next for you? You're dialing in on that film. Anything else notable? And what's your mindset?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely going in with the mindset of this year of just kind of expanding my options. Like I said, like we said, we're still young. They're like, as much as like, I feel like too in the creative industry, like people always feel like age is like, kind of a big thing. It's like, oh, I'm this age, I should already be here because like this person is like 21 and like they're already here, but I'm like 25 and I'm not. So like, I think like, sometimes you got to slow down and like, really look at like what you want to do. Like I would love to do like concert stuff. I've had the opportunity. I was shooting quite a few concert things for a local venue the last half of last year. And I was doing that and I was shooting these small bands, but it was so much fun. So I would love to do concert photography, tour with an artist, but also like expand obviously on my film and my film network. I would like to get more jobs as a cinematographer and expand on that. And hopefully too with this film, because I'll have it done in May, do a big film festival run with it. I'm going to submit it to some pretty big film festivals. I really do think it has the potential to be greater than me. And I want it to be like, I tell a lot of people that are working on this production, like, if you're working on it, it's because I want you to be here and I want your career to grow with mine. Because I really do believe you're that talented. And, I really do believe that this story has the potential to be something really big. So, hopefully make a amazing, not even hopefully, I am going to make an amazing ass fucking film. Got to go with that mindset. Yeah, graduate college,
Confidence.
yeah, hopefully, get to create more things. Hopefully get to, see you and, meet up with you
Yeah.
and, link up with more people. But yeah, just create more stuff.
Yeah, yeah. The only reason I haven't reached out when I go to California before is first of all, there's like 1,000 million people out there. But same thing. It's just like you feel so close, but it just feels like unattainable to go out and see them. But
Yeah.
uh, I'll uncheck that bias with you. I'll reach out
No,
next time I'm there.
no, you're good. You're good. Like,
Especially when we're both in Orange County, it just it makes sense. It makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, it's like, it's kind of like I think one of those things where it's like, yeah, like being a creative, like you're just busy. Like there's just always something happening. So I never take it personally because I'm definitely one like guilty of that. Something's always happening. Like my friends like at home have a hard time seeing me. I see my professors more than I see my friends. Or I see my friends when I work in the film industry more than I see my friends. So, how it is.
Right.
Like I don't take it personal, but I honestly, I almost said this over text. I don't know why I didn't, but like genuinely, thank you for having me. I really do feel like honored that you actually asked me to be a part of this and do this. It's fun to get to talk about stuff and just get to talk about creating stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate. I mean, our clubhouse conversation years ago went way longer than it needed to normally have, and it was one of just the most like easy conversations ever. So I appreciated that, and then I just appreciate. Obviously, it's hard to keep up with everything you're doing, but seeing you go from photographer getting into film to like now directing your own project here soon that you're obviously super passionate about. Can't wait to see it.
I appreciate it.
Same old deal. Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time. I really do.
Yeah.
But thank you so much.
Of course, of course.
Keep going, bro. We'll see you around. I'll talk to you here in July at the latest.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Bye now.
All right. Bye, Isaac.